At the end of One Piece chapter 1070, we see Kizaru on his way to Egghead Island. It is not yet known his intention to come to Egghead Island. But if, for example, he decides to attack the Straw Hats, Luffy is the most reliable person to beat him. What happens if Luffy fights Kizaru on Egghead Island? When facing Kizaru as Sabaody, Luffy felt he had no chance to face him, especially when at Marineford. Luffy was hit several times by Kizaru's laser attack. Even Luffy was overwhelmed. But now the situation is very different. Luffy with his Gear 5 form is able to beat Kaido. That could be a sign that Luffy is now capable of defeating 𝐻𝐞𝐽 and Admiral level enemies. Moreover, Luffy has now mastered advanced level armament haki, Conqueror haki, and observation haki. In addition, Luffy's agility and Gear 5 ability gives the characteristics of the rubber all around feels like it can help him. He would be able to keep up with Kizaru's fast movements, and he might be able to do crazy things like catch Kizaru's laser and turn it into a weapon. Remember, Luffy once caught lightning. It's not impossible that he can catch light and use it as a weapon. Even though Luffy now feels like he can face 𝐻𝐽𝐽 and Admiral level enemies, facing Kizaru might not be easy. An Admiral level character like Kizaru feels like the most calculated figure capable of dealing with Gear 5 Luffy. So far, only Silver's Rayleigh has actually been able to hold his own against Kizaru. Marco briefly confronted him at Marineford, but as soon as Marco was off guard, Kizaru was able to attack Marco. Then Beckman managed to stop Kizaru at gunpoint in chapter 579, but in the next chapter, Kizaru has moved again to hunt down Luffy, who is in Law's submarine. If we count the movies, Shanks can't keep up with Kizaru's movements in One Piece Red, but Shanks does feel like a figure who might be stronger than Rayleigh, since Shanks is still younger. Kizaru's light Logia ability, his ability to move fast, and his ability to shoot lasers can be a challenge for Luffy. Maybe even Kizaru will be more of a challenge for Luffy than Rob Lucci. Currently on Egghead Island there is CP0 and a government agent, and they took control of the 4 Seraphim, making things even more difficult for Luffy and Vegapunk. In a one-on-one situation, Luffy could have beaten Kizaru. But if the situation is like this, Luffy's attention can be diverted by various things. You may remember that at Marineford, there was a situation where Whitebeard beat Akainu hard. If the duel was really one-on-one, Whitebeard might be able to focus on defeating Akainu. But at that time, it was a war situation. After Akainu fell into the pit, Whitebeard didn't give chase. Whitebeard himself was then shown fighting other Marines, before being distracted by the arrival of Blackbeard's pirates. Such a situation could have happened in Egghead if Luffy fought Kizaru. I thought of a scenario where Luffy could have excelled, but a situation distracted him so he didn't beat the Admiral right away. Even in chapter 1069 alone, Luffy was distracted, interacting with Sentomaru even though Lucci had not finished yet. In the end, Lucci can't even attack Sentomaru. There's also a possibility like Luffy being attacked together by Kizaru, Lucci, and Seraphim. The Straw Hats, Vegapunk, and maybe Kuma should definitely help Luffy to prevent such a situation. So the conclusion is that Luffy can beat Kaido in a one-on-one situation. I also feel that now Luffy can't beat anyone as long as the situation is a one-on-one duel. For now, I suspect that the Admirals might be strong, but their physical endurance might not be as great as Kaido's. Even so, there are a number of things in Egghead that could hinder him when he faces Kizaru. The main thing was the possibility that their duel would not go one-on-one. Kizaru is confirmed not to have come alone, and there is also CP0 in Egghead. With this condition, Luffy might have to face several enemies at once. The Straw Hats and Vegapunk have to help Luffy so that at least Luffy can focus on facing Kizaru. That means some of the Straw Hats may also have to help contain the likes of Rob Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy. I still feel that if the Straw Hats and Vegapunk could arrange the situation so that Luffy faced Kizaru one-on-one, Luffy could have won even if he had to exert all his strength. So that's my theory about what would happen if Luffy fought Kizaru on Egghead Island. What do you think?